Let's start processing payroll in QuickBooks. Our objectives this time is going to use the Employee Center to create or view payroll activity. We're going to update our tax tables. We're going to create paychecks and override default calculations. We're going to enter, void, and delete paychecks. Payroll liabilities, we're going to pay those and we're going to adjust them if there are errors or rounding differences. And finally, we're going to create some tax reports and forms. So every payday, doesn't matter, once a month, once a week, semi-monthly, we will be reviewing our previous payroll activity, verify our tax payables are current and updated, and we're going to create and review paychecks. We're going to print out paychecks and pay stubs. And whenever possible, we're going to process our tax deposits. And again, it depends on your organization, but if some organizations are semi-weekly, some are monthly, some are quarterly, and some very small or annually. And we're going to print our payroll liability checks. So every quarter, as you know, we verify our payroll, and then we create reports, and then we create our tax returns. At the beginning of every year, obviously, you're going to have to verify your payroll for the previous year, create reports for the previous quarter, and run some general reports for the year. This is what the Employee Center looks like. On the right-hand side, it's going to be the data, very specific information broken into 3 categories: paid employees, scheduled liabilities, and filing tax forms. This system allows you to track where you are at any point in time to make certain that you're on track. Make sure you get the certain activities done that are date sensitive. And on the left-hand side is going to be the dates, the most recent dates that are set up for the payroll. On top, you'll see how you can enter time, print time, and also other payroll services. Tax tables obviously are needed to calculate the withholdings that are required to be taken out of the paycheck for federal purposes and Social Security. So we need to make certain the tables are correct, because it's going to really be important that we withhold the correct amount from their paychecks. So this is just an option. This is how you update your payroll tax tables if you're using payroll subscription through Intuit. So this is the screen you'll see when you select individual employees to pay. And we're just giving you a detail of one employee, Katie Reynolds, for example. Upper half corner of the paycheck gives you what she's being paid, the individual's name, and on the right hand side is going to be the pay period, and obviously it's going to give you all of the details of her pay. On the second part, on the left hand side, is going to be other payroll items, including deductions like 401k, health insurance. And then the middle right hand side is going to be year-to-date information that you'll see. That will be a mimic to what was seen on the W-2 at the end of the year. Printing paychecks is pretty straightforward, and it generates immediately after processing the payroll, and it has all the pertinent information that for that particular payroll, including the check amount that was paid. If you don't use vouchers, you can still print your paycheck, and that's not a big deal. It's just a matter of whether or not you'll print a stub from QuickBooks or paychecks, or you'll print on a blank sheet of paper. It really doesn't matter. The most important thing about QuickBooks is it does give you the breakdown, and that you can give to the employees of what they were paid for the period and the year-to-date information. So if there are problems with the paycheck, and often there are, you can always avoid or delete or edit a paycheck. It's really important that you be careful how you correct any kind of errors on paychecks, because it does affect your records. Just make certain that you are careful. I would say voiding a check is far easier than actually editing one, simply because it doesn't show the trail of activity, what has been done. So once you make changes to the paycheck, you can print the paycheck. If you printed the paycheck already, you obviously can't edit it. You'll have no other choice but to void it if it's incorrect. And this is just the steps in order for you to do that. It's very easy to delete, so be careful. It's very easy to void or delete, so be careful and be sure that this check is not correct and needs to be changed. And this is it's only relevant really if you write checks. Most organizations do ACH, which means your paycheck, your net pay, goes directly into your payroll account. But in the event that there are checks that are written, maybe your final check or a replacement check or something like that, a special check, you can always go into your check register and print, replace, or void those checks that have not been cashed and were lost. And if you look at this screen here, it does show you how you can void a check. We show in here a list of individual checks that were generated, highlighting one that we want to void. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see these different options: edit, void, help, or done. And that's where you can void it. And one of the things that QuickBooks wants to alert you of, if you're gonna void a check, or if you're gonna edit a check, it's important before going through that process to back up your file. Anything goes wrong, particularly a payroll process, is extremely hard to reverse. So on the safe side, on the cautious side, if you're gonna make changes to a paycheck, just to perform a backup is extremely easy and quick. Deleting checks, I would suggest never deleting anything in QuickBooks. An accountant, I think you need to have an audit trail, and deleting will remove that. Therefore, if you make a mistake on a check, just void it and redo it. And this is just the information that you'll need in order to delete. Obviously, it should be your last choice and should be after considerable deliberation. Paying payroll liabilities, which is the next step in our process. And these are, again, semi-monthly, semi-annually, or semi-weekly, whatever the process is for you generating your checks. The system keeps track of it based on the preferences that you set. And if there's like a rounding difference, and there always is a penny or two here or there, you can make those adjustments prior to actually printing the check. And creating payroll reports is the final step that you'll need, and there are so many different type of reports that you can generate, and you can also customize and modify as you need. And this is just a payroll summary report that we're seeing. And then if there are some individuals who are paid commissions, you can run a report that tells you how much commissions they need to be paid. That can be used as supporting documentation when you generate their checks. Payroll liability report, again, is one of those reports that you'll use for backup purposes when you actually generate the check to make your quarterly payments based on jurisdiction. And your W-2s and 940s are obviously done, and the system does provide you with the means of printing those type of reports using the data that you've already generated for the past month, quarter, or year end. And I'll just give you an example of what the reports look like within QuickBooks. And again, this is assuming that you're using QuickBooks to process your payroll. If you're using Intuit online, this process completely is avoided. You will be doing everything using their online system. Processing W-2s, the same thing. Again, you're going to go through the home page of payroll, and you're going to process forms, and it will give you options of printing the various reports that you need, including annual W-2 and wage statement reports that are filed with the federal government and with the state. And the same with any type of employee tax reports. You can detail it by state returns, and it gives you the specific information for a quarter. Again, you can range it by date, by quarter, by employee. Again, these reports can be summarized and printed in quite a different way. So the reports within QuickBooks are just a means that you can generate the end of month, end of quarter supporting documentation for your records. So when you get through this entire chapter, you will be able to use the Employee Center to monitor and view employee payroll activity. You could update your tax tables using the online component, create paychecks and override default calculations, edit, void, and delete payroll checks, pay your liabilities, obviously, adjust payroll liabilities if necessary, and create various reports, both monthly, semi-monthly, annually. And this is the end of our presentation. If you have any questions at all, you can please let me know, and I will most certainly be able to respond to you. If you have any questions that are general in nature about payroll processing, by all means put your questions in the Q&A section of the discussion board, and as a group we will discuss them and go over them with you together. Thank you very much for your attention.